Welcome back to the continuation of our unconventional journey. This one is pretty special.
We are off on a 3-day adventure to a village deep in the jungle in northwestern Thailand, up near the Myanmar border.
Little did we know these next few days would be life-changing, etching the kind of memories that stay with you forever.
So sit back and watch as we venture deep into the jungle to a land that time forgot and a people the world doesn't know exist.
We left Chiang Mai early for the roughly 10-hour trip in a van with folks you'll meet shortly.
Wow, so that river would come all the way up?
Yep. Which gives you an idea of how high the water was.
Wow.
Our first stop was 3 hours into the mountains at Mae Sariang, a place you might remember from our prior video. We grabbed a bite to eat in Mae Sariang and then transferred to 5 Toyota Hilux 4-wheel drive pickups for the rest of our journey.
We traveled up into the mountainous jungle on a paved road that deteriorated pretty severely as we made our way deep into the wilderness. After about 2 hours, the pavement ended.
You're probably wondering where we're headed, why we're going there, and how this all came about. So this is the first river we're going to cross. We're headed to Ban Sala Changtang School in the village of Sao Hin. We're traveling with a group of folks from a charitable organization called I Care Thailand Foundation that are helping to bring education to children in these remote villages. And this is the second river crossing, and then one more to go.
This is no simple task. Surrounding villages are generally a 2 to 3 hour walk through the jungle. Naturally, this is a huge deterrent to children being able to attend school. A further challenge is that many of the parents want to keep their children home to help in the fields. And during rainy season, forget about it.
And this is the third and final river crossing. What I Care has found is that if they build dormitories at the schools and can convince parents to send their children, they can offer them a future most can only dream of.
What we thought was a 2-hour ride turned into a 4-hour slog through the mountains on, well, you saw the terrain.
Everyone at the school was excited and welcoming and immediately made us feel like part of the family.
We arrived in mid-November, just after the rainy season. The rivers had receded, so this was the first opportunity to resupply the school.
If you're a Thailand lover, you might recognize this guy. His name is Chris Parker, and he has a big YouTube channel called Retired Working For You. Check it out. Periodically, he leverages his subscriber base and does a pay-it-forward video that focuses on a particular social need in the Thai community. Chris's is a story of challenge and hope, and how the dedication of a few good souls and a little bit of money can make a positive difference in people's lives. None of this would have been possible without the hard work and dedication of Michael Andreasen and his father Yingvar, who created the I Care Thailand Foundation.
This is the story of our involvement in his project. You might be wondering about the accommodations. Remember that sleeping bag scene in our Chiang Mai video? The facilities were crude but clean and adequate.
Our visit was a big thing up here in the village, and everyone pitched in to make it a special occasion. That evening, they prepared a meal with virtually everything sourced from the farms and jungle.
Except for the beer. There is no electric service, cell service, or internet up here. Solar cells and batteries powered lighting and water pumps, and enough refrigeration to keep the beers cold. For us, it was a throwback to a time before internet and cell phones, when people sat around, talked and laughed, and were actually present in the moment. It turned out to be a magical night for all.
That first night, we had one of the most enchanting evenings. A snippet of what you see in this clip of the four girls evolved into a wonderful conversation with Michael as interpreter that provided a rare glimpse into their lives. They were students at the school who came back as teachers and now serve as an inspiration for all. They were so grateful to be able to give back what was so selflessly given to them. They recounted stories of their families and their lives growing up in the villages and provided us an insight into a world that was very different from anything we've ever experienced. There was an honesty and innocence that you rarely see anymore. Plus, they had an incredible sense of humor that transcended the language barrier.
The morning starts well before sunrise. There are chores to do, and the students prepare their own breakfast. Ours too.
The reason we're here at this time is for the commemoration of the new dormitories that iCare built. These are well-designed and constructed facilities that provide dignified shelters for these kids. No small thing during rainy season. This is Razami, a key member of the iCare team that brings a deep local knowledge and understanding to the many programs and projects undertaken by the foundation.
And here is Michael's father, Ingvar, who together with his wife have made a positive impact on the lives of so many people in need here in Thailand.
And you came all the way from where, Ricard, to fix these bicycles?
All the way from Sweden.
Ah. And not a cell phone to be had in the schoolyard. Healthy change from life in the West.
After lunch, we drove these two students to their villages. The route took us through a valley along a river similar in nature to the route that got us here. In other words, it was a tough slog. This was also their walk to school before the dormitory. No electricity, no running water, no internet, no phones. Not much has changed up here for decades, if not centuries.
This girl invited us into her home to meet her parents. With Michael serving as translator, she described her life at home here in the village and how the dormitory made going to school a possibility. Throughout the conversation, there was no mention of struggles and hardships of everyday life up here in the village. In light of such adversity, there was an acceptance, and they just played the hand circumstances dealt them in stoic fashion.
When we're in remote places like this, we're reminded that the only difference between these people and us is that they were born here and we were born there. Before the dormitory, this was her route to school. Imagine this river during rainy season with another 3 feet of water. Impassable, especially for a small child. The trek to school took her through the valley along the river. It took about 3 hours each way.
We continued on to the next girls' village. She too invited us into her home and introduced us to her family.
สวัสดีค่ะดิฉันนางสาวรุ่งฤทัยนะคะ หนูก็ดีใจค่ะที่มีพ่อ
You didn't need to understand the language to realize that this was a very heavy conversation.
อบอุ่นครอบครัวที่อบอุ่นค่ะก็มีความสุขอ่ะพ่อจะอบรม
Even without translation, there wasn't a dry eye in the
มาก
house.
กว่าคนอื่นค่ะแบบตั้งใจเรียนศึกษา
Please see Chris's video for a translation.
ให้หนูเรียน
It'll break your heart.
สูงเรียนให้จบและเป็นครูเป็นหมอหนูขอบคุณพ่อค่ะ
She said she also had to study really hard because her younger brother, Bunrat, who's a scholarship student, he's off and sick and his health is not good. So she doesn't know if he's going to make it, but she wants to be the one to help their family and keep them going through this time.
ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ตกลงอยากเป็นอะไรอยากเป็นหมอ
She too had a long and arduous walk to and from school prior to the dorm. Like we made it back from our visit up to the students' homes in time for some serious downpours.
If he's a real YouTuber, he's got to come not only when it's easy. So I want him to come in the rainy season.
There's a challenge. Drew it down. There's a challenge.
And he says that the only way we can get to school if you're not walking is you've got to carry your motorcycle across the river.
I will come.
So he said every river crossing from here to the beginning, you have to carry your motorbike across the stream because that's the only way to get there. They got these little bikes, the Honda.
I'm in. I will come in rainy season if Michael joins me.
Our last day was a back-to-school day for the kids. Classes were not unlike those in the West 75 years ago. Digital was a world away. Still, if these kids are to have a chance at anything beyond a subsistence future, they will need an education.
All right, so we've got 10 scholarship students at this school that we've been helping for the last year. Great friends have been helping to give them money for education. Word gets out, and we have another 14 kids who've asked us for help. So we have to go through them one by one, talk to them, find out what's going on.
And how much is a scholarship?
One scholarship is 6,000 baht per year, 500 baht per month. That goes to their families directly through the school, and that helps their families to get a little bit of financial help to make ends meet as the kids study.
Before we left, there was a ceremony and scholarships were handed out to those in most need.
We were concerned that the previous night's rains would make the journey back a little tricky. Luckily, it wasn't too bad.
There were so many unanswered questions and unfamiliar emotions from our experiences over the last few days. For the uninitiated among us, it was hard to fathom the unfairness of it all. These kids are just like the kids you grew up with. They have the same wants and dreams and share the same youthful innocence.
this next generation will face insurmountable challenges without an education, and in places like this, people die unnecessarily for lack of basic medical care. A lot of effort by Michael and the team go into helping parents to understand that for their children to lead a better life, they will need to forego the fields for an education.
And lastly, none of this would be possible without teachers and administrators giving selflessly of themselves. And people like Michael, Yingbar, and Razami dedicating their life's work to lifting people in need.
As we said in the beginning, this was a place that time forgot and a people the world doesn't know exist. We hope this short video and the video Chris produced, Miracle in the Jungle, will serve to shed light on a situation and how little it would take to help. If you are so inspired, there's a link in Chris's video to make a donation. Just mention that you would like the proceeds directed to iCare.
Stay tuned for our next video. You'll never guess where we're headed this time.